Hey y'all, you already know what time it is. We are back for another book study. So we are going to be doing a book study to Jim Rohn's 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness. All right. So I'm super excited to do this book study because 1, I absolutely love Jim Rohn, and 2, I'm just excited to read or reread this. So for those of you who are new here, I have been someone who has read something and then moved on to the next thing just to say I read it, just to say I got through it and moved on to the next thing, just to say I could read another book. But now I am at the space where I really want to study the concepts in the books. So that's why we're doing book study. Now, this book is not in the public domain, so therefore I will not be reading directly out of the book. If you want to read the book and really participate in this book study, I suggest you go get the book. With that being said, I did take some notes, and I do have some pieces and segments that I really wanted to highlight. While I'm getting these sheets out, I think it's also important to mention that the other book club, which is in the public domain, The Richest Man in Babylon, that is actually happening in tandem with Jim Rohn's 7 strategies. And with it, I read it because of Jim. So I went and got this book specifically because of him. All right, so here I have my notes. And the thing I like about this class is that there are homework assignments. So it's pretty freaking awesome, if you ask me. All right, so let's see, what notes did I have? All right, so the first thing I want to point out, and this is, I'm going to be doing, let's see, what page did I finish? Page 1 to page 34. So that's what we're studying today. And he starts out the book by mentioning how he was 25 and he had not yet learned the difference between making a living and making a life. Okay, so he was living and was broke, and he was making, guess how much he was making a week? Okay, you're likely, if you're like me, you cannot even fathom. He was making $57 per week. So it's very interesting how times have changed, because $57 a week is an allowance. So that's crazy. It's crazy. And it wasn't that long ago. But anyway, that's how much he was making. And he was 25 and he was married. He was taking care of his family, yada, 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 yada. And one thing that he says that I really, really like is when he's like, I was behind something like I had more month than the money. So there was still time left and his money had already ran out. And I'm like, oh, I know what that feels like, man. I know what that feels like. And so then he met a man named Earl Schoaff. That's EARLSHOAFF. He met him at a sales conference. He walked up to him, they connected, and then a few months later, Jim was working for this guy named Earl, right? And Earl, when I looked him up, he was an entrepreneur and a speaker, and he also wrote a book, and I believe I saw it, I wrote it down quickly, but whatever. He has a book called How to Be a Millionaire, so now I've got to get that book. So yeah, so that happened. So that's how Jim's life really changed, okay? That's when everything changed around him and he was able to get a mentor and really expand his quality of life and way of being. All right. And so then we get right before chapter 1 actually starts. He says, be a student, not merely a follower. And this is something that he says that I resonate with. This is something that Brother Panic says that I resonate with. And they are the two who I've heard say it the most, or something along those lines, very similar. But yes, it is very important that you are a student of everyone. And Florence Scovel Shinn says, no one is anything to you, everyone is your teacher. So just remember that when you go into these lessons, you're not going in it with the mindset of, oh, Jim's gonna save me, because Jim is gone, baby. Okay, Jim ain't coming back to save you. But Jim left some information and knowledge to help you save yourself. All right, and that's what we're doing.